Behind me, you will find the unfinished miracle of the bread and the fish. This is one of the most important masterpieces which the master has kept for himself in his own private collection in his studio and residence. The unfinished miracle of the bread and the fish is part of a very long series which the artist started in the mid-1980s and which is called Wickerwork Chairs or Wicker Chairs. The title of the series, Wickerwork Chairs, comes after the key central element which appears in every single painting of the series. This very typical wickerwork chairs which we found in many Cuban houses, where the artist places all kinds of characters that sit down there to have conversations, take a nap, dream, talk about love, sometimes even make love, and at times also key players in the Cuban political arena, like in this case, because the painting, The Unfinished Miracle of the Bread and the Fish, was made after the visit of John Paul II, the late Pope of the Catholic Church, in 1998. This is Oliva's visual documentary of the visit of John Paul II to Cuba. After decades of a very hostile and conflicted relationship between the Church and the government, the visit of the Pope, of John Paul II to Cuba in 1998, was received as a kind of a sign of change, a sign that new times were opening. So there was so much expectation about this visit. Everybody expected changes to happen. Changes of the relationship between the church and the state, social, economic changes, changes in our civil liberties. And well, some of those changes actually happened, and some of them never happened at all. So that is probably why the title of the painting chosen by the artist, The Unfinished Miracle of the Bread and the Fish. The painting was made in 1998, or actually it started in 1998. The artist signed the painting using the date where he came up with the idea of documenting this very important visit, but it was finished 2 years later. As you can see, it's a very large canvas and it's a very complex work, both formally and conceptually speaking. The painting was conceived to resemble one of those altarpieces which we find in very old churches, with a central panel and 2 lateral panels. In the painting, Oliva, as in many other masterpieces, mixes personal anecdotes, personal events happening in his private life, and also political and social events unfolding in Cuban reality at the time the painting was being made. In the central panel, we find the resemblances of Fidel Castro himself and John Paul II, carrying a fish on their lap. On the side of Fidel Castro, we will find many elements which refer to some very well-known religious symbolisms, like the fallen angel, like, for instance, the tree of knowledge or the tree of life, Adam and Eve, the original sin. On the right panel, we find one of the key references to the Cuban political and social circumstance back in those years. Specifically, the one that refers to the situation of the political opposition in Cuba. Here, Oliva includes, in the part of the painting which has not been finished, so the unfinished project, an image of the members of La Patria es de Todos. That was the name of the key opposition party that came out on those years. Fatherland is for all. Here you find the members of that party. The Unfinished Miracle of the Bread and the Fish is one of the most iconic pieces made by Oliva to this day. It is also one of the examples of why he's been known as a chronicler of his times. And is one of the most important masterpieces still in place in his own residence and studio in Penado.